Okay, go ahead.
My name's Darrell McClanahan. It's DARRELLMCCLANAHAN, and I didn't get your name.
Lieutenant Kluver, CLUVER.
Okay, and you're a officer with the Missouri State Highway Patrol?
Right. Yeah, I'm assigned to our internal affairs unit here. That's the Professional Standards Division.
Professional standards. Okay, I'd called up to Lieutenant Colonel Olson's office, and they gave me your number.
Right. Yeah, we're the division that takes complaints against officers.
Okay, these are. I had made a complaint myself to the Missouri Public Safety in Jefferson City.
Okay.
I made a complaint as well as my wife, and that was last year, and we never received any response. And it's in concerns. It's two separate cases. Mine is I was the chief petitioner to have Lexington, Missouri audited, and at the time, this gentleman that works at a weigh station for you now, his name is Mark Lamphier, and it's Lamphier, Lamphier, and he was the police chief of Lexington, and he resigned, and then he works for you guys, and I feel that he was not vetted properly to quit working there and then get a job with the state patrol. We currently have a lawsuit against him, and it's been moved to federal court by his attorney. And in his police report where he arrested me, and the charges against me have been dismissed. That I believe he falsely arrested me at my home. And after he took me to jail, he told my wife that if she didn't sign a statement that he wrote, that he would take her to jail and the children. My wife has no criminal record. This was not drugs involved. I was the chief petitioner to have the city audited. And he followed me around and told me not to quit taking. And when the audit came out, they were missing 500. They misappropriated. They weren't missing it, but no one was held accountable. They wasted $500,000. And if you just Google Lexington, it'll say the audit found financial instability. And that was a year after I was arrested, and our lives were made miserable. And in Lamphair's police report, he writes, he told my wife if she didn't sign the statement that he would take her to jail and our small children to Child Protective Services. And it's very terrible that he did that because she has no criminal record, and she also asked for an attorney. He writes in his police report she asked for an attorney. So he knows what the laws are, and she made it clear to him. My husband said not to answer any questions without an attorney being present, and he threatened her with arrest if she didn't sign a statement, and that statement was used against me in a probable cause to keep me in court for a very long time. And that's all behind us now. But it's very concerning that an officer that has a pending accusations against him, and they are accusations, but they should have been. He should have been, I think, more properly vetted. I don't know what your vetting process is. I'm just a regular citizen guy. And then the other.
What do you mean by vetting?
Well, when someone gets a job with you guys, do you see if they have any pending accusation, like Kavanaugh that just ran for Supreme Court before he was given the job? The Senate ran him through the mill of things that went on, and Lamphier was resigned from a city that had financial instability that he was part of. He was appointed as police chief, and then whenever he resigns because of the goings on, he just goes over and gets a job with you guys. I mean,
there would have been a background investigation done on him before he got hired. And it looks like when did all this happen? Because it looks like he began employment with us in September of last year.
Yes, it would have been just months prior.
So this was summer of 2017?
No, it was I was arrested February of 2016, so a year prior to my arrest, and then the audit came out October of 2017, a month after you, and there's articles in the Richmond, Missouri paper that talk about the audit, and then it says Lamphier resigned. It doesn't say he resigned because of the audit, but there are police reports where he followed me around and would say I was a suspicious person, taking signatures, I was being lawful, knocking on doors.
When did you file a lawsuit against him?
2016.
That's still pending.
Yes, it's in federal court. Violation of mine and my wife's civil rights. Her name is April Miller.
Okay.
It's concerning because so many people don't feel that law enforcement is held accountable. I'm not an anti-law enforcement person. I know there are bad people, and you guys have a really tough job. But also, there was also, if there was a background thing done on him, I did a Missouri Sunshine request on him, and Josh Hawley has refused to answer it. And he, in '09, the city minutes are out there, when I found his misconduct on the internet and made the city aware of it, it was taken off the internet. In '09, he misused law enforcement tools. He was working as a process server in '09 when he was Captain Lamphier of the Lexington Police Department. He was working as a process server. There was a woman getting divorced or had a lawsuit going on, and she worked for the Sheriff's Department. She worked for the Lafayette County Sheriff's Department, and the Sheriff's Department, he did not know what her address was. So he went on the mule system and used the mule system to get her address, and he served her. And he was arrested or ticketed by your office. It's on CaseNet still. And he ended up pleading guilty to trespassing, and it was a $50 fine. And we are going to get that information in discovery. But if he had a background check done on him, and I know that may be trivial, but there have been officers that have misused that and maybe harmed someone, men after women, or nefarious. It has a purpose for what it's supposed to be used for, and it's not supposed to be used for your job so you can get someone's address and serve them. He has to do it like all the other process servers. He can't have special privileges for a special person. So that is another major issue with his misconduct that I don't believe was vetted or found out in his back. Or maybe it was okay, because in my public information request, I asked, did he receive training? Did he receive discipline? Did he receive a fine? And that was never answered. Although I have a copy immediately when I found the information about that in '09, I copied it out. The attorneys are aware of it. The city was aware of it. Josh Hawley's office is aware of the Missouri Sunshine request, and they, to this point, have refused to give me that information of what he received. And the Missouri Supreme Court has said that all officer misconduct is public information. And, we need guys of integrity out there doing this job.
Okay. Have you had any issues with him since he became employed by the Highway Patrol?
No, I moved away. But
Okay.
I moved away from Lexington because we were in fear of him. He would sit. I have pictures of him sitting out in front of my house. They gave me nuisance tickets for like a board laying in the driveway, the grass being a few inches too long. They would come and pound on the door. They no doubt stopped me like 10 different times at a point when I had about 300 signatures of the 400 I needed. I was pretty scared. I would go on different streets, and if I saw them around, I would walk and be like, avoid getting asked. And there were many citizens that signed the petition, and it ended up, they were audited by the city, and there was financial instability found with Lexington, and I was the chief petitioner to have that done. And since we retained an attorney, he said that was a First Amendment violation when I didn't realize that. When I filed a lawsuit against him, I was not asking for money. I only wanted the public information to know, was he disciplined? Did he receive training? Why was he promoted to position of police chief? And then now he works for you guys. So,
as far as anything that happened when he was with the Lexington Police Department that doesn't have anything to do with our agency, I know he's employed by us now, but there would have been a background investigation done on him. Apparently, there wasn't anything in there that was found to be concerning that would prevent him from being hired by our agency. As far as the lawsuit goes, it's a civil issue that you have against him. The only thing that I can do is, if he is subject to a lawsuit, the only thing I can do is make sure that he has properly documented that with our agency.
And you don't know if he has or not?
No, I don't. It's something I'd have to check into.
Do you want the case number?
Yeah, whatever information you have, give me. Go ahead.
I don't have the case number right in front of me.
Is this on CaseNet?
No, it is not. It's a federal court case now. If you just Google his name and my name, it will come up. If you Google Daryl McClanahan and versus Mark Lamphier, April Miller McClanahan, my wife party to it as well, you will get there's legal, there's many, I think Pacer, there's many websites that have the case number, and his attorney is Baker out of Kansas City, and then the other case I wanted to make you aware of is I think one of the officers resigned, Henry Folsom, and Scott Mertens. Scott Mertens still works for you guys, and he was involved in the shooting of Jeff Winehouse. Are you aware of that?
I'm familiar with it. I don't know all the details, but I'm aware that they were involved in a shooting.
Okay, well, it was recorded, and there's a lot of proof out there that people believe that Mertens and Folsom have perjured themselves. And there should be, if you're an internal affairs person, I believe it should be investigated. I've tried to let Governor Greitens know about it because of what happened with Lamphier. I have been inspired to stand up for Jeffrey and speak up for Jeffrey because I've looked at his case and reviewed all the evidence out there, and he clearly was a person that was running for coroner. He had ran for sheriff. He had a really big mouth. He said a lot of things people didn't agree with, and the state patrol did not get a warrant for, or let the county sheriff know. There's a whole lot of stuff about that whole case, and these guys said that he drew a gun, and there was witnesses there saying he did not draw a gun. And I think it's concerning when Scott Mertens is still a homicide, or I saw a story about him. He's some type of investigator, and he would have a mark on him like that. Where, like I said, I'm not anti-law enforcement, but you guys, that we know what happened with the kid bouncing out of the boat at Lake of the Ozarks. You guys, I want your help if I'm on the side of the road. Years ago, I couldn't find my father, and I contacted the patrol, and I gave my father's name, and one of your deputies said, we don't normally do that. I explained I had moved back from Colorado. He was sick. He looked him up. He said, oh, he got a no insurance ticket like 10 years ago. That's the last address, and they tried to help me, and that's what you guys are there for, is to help people. And so I'm definitely not against you guys, and there are bad people, but you guys must hold each other accountable so that we have faith in you. And if I saw one of you in trouble on the side of the road, I would stop and help. And
anytime our officers are involved in a shooting, it's thoroughly investigated by our Division of Crime Control, Drug and Crime Control, and also my office, Professional Standards Division. So that case has already been investigated by both those offices.
Okay, and I think those findings were incorrect, and I think there's many members of the public in Franklin County that are really going to continue to make an issue of this, as well as Jeffrey's attorney, Warren Markowitz. He is also representing us with the Lamphier case. The attorney that is I called him, and he said, "What's going on in Missouri?" Yes, I'll take your case and help you, because I had filed just a state case asking to know what happened. Was Lamphier disciplined? What went on with his misconduct? And the judge agreed that we should get a jury trial. And then the legal ease people that, the attorney, he moved it to federal court, and there was a bunch of deadlines and then a bunch of questions to answer that ended up I didn't have to do, and Markowitz got involved, and it has been moved to federal court. And I will say that at mediation, they did offer to settle with us, and it wasn't adequate for the attorneys. And so there was some wrongdoing on Lamphere's side. And I think it's a shame that he could quit working at Lexington and then go over and get a job. And it bugs me every day, and that's why I'm calling. And I wrote letters. We wrote complaints, me and my wife both, to Jefferson City, and we never, ever got a response. So, and I don't know however many other people these things happen to. And people get in bad situations. People do wrong things. You guys have to uphold the law and everything, but I think you're hearing me out. I don't think you're disagreeing that people should be held accountable. And
Right.
they used to have outside police boards. I mean, you guys investigating yourself, you know what a lot of people will say about that. That's not fair. That it should be an outside. It should be an outside group investigating you guys. They used to have community, and that could be a pain too, because somebody's got to beef with some. But I think there could be something that could meet both sides. You look at the things that went on in St. Louis and everything. We have to make it fair for both. And there's a lot of bad people. I mean, there's a lot of bad people. But I really think Lamphier, he used his position as police chief to try to stop me from doing the audit. He arrested me on a theft by deception for the dealings I had with a personal friend of his, and it was all a ruse to stop me from doing the audit for the good old boys there. And that's
what the lawsuit's about.
That's what the lawsuit is about.
Okay.
And it's about him falsely arresting me. He falsely arrested me. He made threats to my wife. My wife asked for an attorney and said she didn't want to answer any questions. He basically feel like we were assaulted on our front porch. He came to my house and he wanted to go in my house. And I said, no, we can't go in the house. We're not going in the house. He immediately put me in handcuffs. I mean, it's all documented what happened. He didn't have a body cam. I think body cams are excellent. Do the state troopers wear body cams now?
No, we don't have them.
You don't have them. It's really a shame, because you should. I really think you should, because then everybody's held accountable. The person that's being a jerk that needed to get shot or put on the ground for being a no person, the officers are covered because they did the right thing. The person wasn't following you guys' orders. So I like the dash cams. The dash cams are really excellent, and they protect you guys as well as they protect the citizens. So hopefully you could be an advocate for the right thing happening, because there's many people out there that think what happened to Jeffrey was wrong, and what happened to me definitely affects me still. We moved away from there and to the Branson area, closer to where my wife's family's from and where we were from. But we had intentions when we moved to Lexington to be part of the community. I was going to do horse and carriage rides there. I tried to speak at a city council meeting about the water bill, and I asked for more than 3 minutes. The city council said, no, you couldn't have more minutes. I said, well, where I used to live, you could say your piece. I'm only asking for 5 more minutes. And Lamphier, this is how me and Lamphier met. He got right up there by the podium and was mad dogging me, and I just quietly left and didn't make a disturbance. And then I thought, well, what can I do to find out about this water bill? And I proceeded to get them audited, and it was really hard. So how can people address their grievances if they have bulldog police officers for the city, doing their bidding and get this guy to shut up is how and a lot of people see what happened, and I got a lot of thanks and thank yous for the audit, because now they have a whole new mayor. People are being held accountable, and the people in the city are watching. So it did do a lot of good, but it also caused us a lot of heartache. we would, stay inside our house, in fear of him going out and me being arrested. And, it was just an experience. And I've never called your offices to make a complaint about it. We did do what it says to do. It says write a letter to, we did online complaint. I did, as well as my wife, to the Missouri Public Safety in Jeff City. And we also wrote them a letter. And I may do registered one, which is a shame. I should have to do a registered one, but I'm probably going to, do a registered one. And, but to fight in court, it is a difficult thing and not where I really want to be. So.
Right. Yeah, well, what I can do is I can document the concerns that you advised me of today. Everything that Lamphier was involved in related to you was before he was one of our employees. But the only thing I can do related to that is just if he is subject to a lawsuit, just make sure that he's got that properly documented with our agency.
Okay. And if he didn't, will you guys hold him accountable for that? If he didn't do what he was supposed to do?
That's something we'd have to look into, and any disciplinary action that's taken against any employee is confidential information.
Okay, but the Missouri, I will remind you, there was a court case where the ACLU sued in St. Louis. There was a couple off-duty St. Louis police officers, and there were some folks from St. Joe, Missouri, selling their tickets, and the officers told them scalping is illegal in St. Louis. The two guys took the tickets and went to the ball game. And the ACLU sued to get their misconduct. These guys had misconduct, and they're definitely not good guys out there on your team. And the law enforcement team, they weren't patrol members, they were St. Louis police officers, but they still did this. They stole some property from some people, and they still haven't been held accountable. And the Missouri Supreme Court said any past misconduct with officers is public information. And I realize that's your policy. You're quoting to me, and you can't. But maybe you could change it. Maybe you could advocate and say, as a patrol member, I think those who have nothing hide nothing, right? You're investigating something. If someone doesn't want to give you some information, you're kind of like, oh, maybe this guy did it, right? I mean, it doesn't vindicate you from, if you're being, we have a right to remain silent and everything, but if, I think you understand what I'm saying, that if I know that's your policy, that's private information, but the courts have said that officer misconduct is not private. It is it's for the public safety to know what someone has done in the past. Just you look at the Kavanaugh circus, that was just terrible that they would run someone through the mud, and I don't think that's fair because people make mistakes, and we can get some discipline. And are you still there?
Yeah, I'm listening.
I appreciate your listening. You're a good listener, because I'm definitely a talker. So I appreciate your help, and you said you're going to take the concern seriously, and
okay. Yeah, like I said, I'll document your concerns, and the only thing I can do again is verify if he is subject to lawsuit, is verify that it's been documented properly with our agency. Okay.
And what about Scott Mertens or Henry Folsom in the shooting of Jeffrey Winehouse?
That's already been investigated.
So
if some new information is learned, then you would have to contact the Division of Drug and Crime Control.
Well, there is new information out there. There's witnesses at the convenience store that said he never drew his gun, and the deputies lied. And there were FBI agents there that witnessed it that said, and they were not called in the court case. It's just going to get drug out. Basically, you guys are not going to do anything, and it's going to have to be in the court of public opinion. Is what's going to the attorney's going to have to get it in court, and then it's just going to come out. I mean, if you guys don't take action, I believe God is going to prevail, and it's going to come out that Scott Mertens and Henry Folsom attempted to murder Jeffrey, and they will be held accountable by the people. I think eventually the truth will come out. It takes a long time sometimes for the truth to come out, but and I mean, if you guys stepped up and did the right thing, I think it would be helpful, and it would make the patrol look way better. I mean, you can go to Lone Star 1776, and there's a playlist of the information of witnesses that were at the gas station that said Jeffrey never drew a weapon. And the Missouri Constitution says carrying a weapon shall not be questioned. The first thing that Folsom did is he questioned Jeffrey and said, "Why do you have that firearm?" And the whole thing to get him down to the convenience store was a ruse when they could have said, "Come to the police station, arrest him." A lot of people think it was just an attempt to murder him. And I see it that way from all the evidence that's out there. And I'm going to post this conversation on there as well, on Lone Star 1776. So
Okay.
if they want to, because we need to make noise and shine light, and the good officers need to stand up against people that have done these things. And I know things happen, poop storms happen, and you're in the middle of it, and but you guys do a ton of good. A ton of good. I don't want to see kids doing drugs. I don't want to see bad people doing bad things, hurting children, hurting officers, hurting old people. I don't want to see that, and I want to have faith in you guys, and that's why I'm calling. I didn't call to be a pain. I called to make you aware of it, and it doesn't sound like you were aware of Lamphier. So I did some good, and I appreciate you taking the time. I'll let you go.
Okay.
I very much appreciate you listening to me.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.